Alright, so today I'll be going over another Dredge update, probably like the last part of the Dredge update for Dave the Diver, because I don't really have much else to talk about in this update. But today I'll be going about how to make the most money on one of these event nights. So, let's get into that. I should specify by the most money I mean like the most money while actually doing the event. Because if you're far enough in the game, you'll actually make more money by not doing the event and skipping it entirely, and having the hooded figures go elsewhere. So the main thing I'm looking for is I'm looking to be able to sell as much of this high-priced sushi as possible to the hooded figures, and have as much secondary sushi sold over as possible. So with that in mind, looking at this here, you'll be wanting to go to the Black Cliff, because you can steal net this. Like, you have free drones basically, and that's going to be the main thing about it. Like, what do you use your free drones on? Now, if you're a jellyfish basin, you'd use one of your drones on that, and you'd have to like really look for something else to use your drones on. Like, there's not a lot to drone there, so it's actually a pretty good area. For coast, you drone that, you drone this as well. And again, after that, you'd have to kind of look for stuff that you want to put your drone in. But with Black Cliff, you use your drone on this, and two of your drones on these, because there's two of them. After that, you go after the Withered Ray, go after as many of these as possible, as many bony and shattered wreckfish as possible. Though they're going to be a lot harder to get because of the armor. You want as many of these as possible, enthralled stonefish. But after you get down to this level, it's kind of getting redundant. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into it. Here I am at the spot for Black Cliff. It's this middle spot over here between these two large rocks. And this is where I want to be diving, so I dive here. Now it's important to note I only have 3 crab traps and 3 drones, so you want to get the most out of them as possible. However, chances are you're going to find a lot of ammo, so should be alright on that front. If I can, I want to scare this fish towards some of my other targets, but I'm not sure if that's going to be viable. It can hit you though, even though it's running away from you, so there's always that. These fish are worth the least, so it's not too big of an issue if they blow up. Now those rocks I want to be avoiding, because they are not going to contain the right kind of crabs that are going to be the expensive ones. I want to use all my crab traps on the expensive rocks if possible. So this might be a way to get the 2 for 1 here, like this shattered wreckfish and this sturgeon, you might be able to get into the same net. That should be the aim. One's hostile to you and one runs away, so I guess a good thing would be to get like this fish somewhere over here. Now the issue is the sturgeon does go invisible and can be quite hard to see. The main priority is getting sturgeon in the net, so if you can't get them together, don't worry about it. Just get one in the net. Get that one in, get the sturgeon in the net, and you should be all good. Although it would be ideal to get the wreckfish with it. If you can't, because that was challenging, it's just better to forget about it at that point. I will be back up to harpoon that later if applicable. But right now, I want to look for the eels. That's not that worth that much, but I want to look for eels and the rocks that have the crabs on them. I'm confident there's 2 eels. There's one here and one on the other side. So they're what I want to send up to the surface of my remaining drones. I'm pretty sure I saw some rocks over here, so this is where I'll be placing my first crab trap. Now, you're not going to have as much weight as I have if you're still early on in the game, because, well, you haven't fully upgraded your day's carry weight and you haven't got the waterproof bag that you get for completing the Ocean Watcher. So you won't have all the carrying capacity that I have here, but the idea is you want to fill it up as much as possible. And the good thing about the drones is they don't take up any weight, because you're sending the fish out. So you want to make full use of the drones. It may look like I'm ignoring fish, but that's mainly because I do not know how big my carrying capacity can really be. So I'm prioritising the higher cost fish. Like this stonefish is actually worth a bit more than the other one, and it's worth quite a lot, considerable amount. But as you've seen when I'm looking at the menu, the wreck fish are the ones that are worth more, but the problem is they're too big to be caught by hand, unless you want to harpoon them, but then you're getting less meat. So that'll be what I'm going after I get these eels in and after I get the ray in. And also after I get these crabs. Because these cortex decorators are also worth quite a lot. Of course, the sturgeon is the top priority. There might actually be 3 eels now that I think about it. Ow. Yeah, these eels can attack through nets, they're pretty dangerous. So there's one eel around here, there's got to be... I swear there was also one up there, so... In that case, if there is 3 eels, you're going to have to kill one of them by hand. I haven't tried it, but I'm pretty sure you won't be able to lure the sturgeon and the eel next to each other because they're too far apart. Here's some more rocks. I'm certain there's some more rocks further down below here. If that's the case, then those are the 3 rocks piles that you want to go to, because those are the 3 rock piles that will contain the cortex decorators. Yep, there's a 3rd pile. So you have 2 on this side, sort of right near each other, and 1 on the right side. That way you can get just cortex decorators when you're going for money. You don't have to worry about the other craft, which is worth substantially less. Next thing's next, I'm going to start on this ray that's over here. There it is. Now of course this is too big to net, otherwise you try getting at 3-star, but it's also behind the eels, which if there's 3 of, yeah, it wouldn't have a chance anyway. Does look pretty dangerous to fight, but and this purple mist will damage you and make you go reverse controlled, so you do not want to get caught in that. And the reverse control effect lasts quite a while. And it will also flip without warning, so when it runs out and when it starts up, you'll also get pretty much caught in place. It's a very tough fish to fight, but very, very cool. My previous encounter, I hadn't got hit by it, so I didn't really know about that reverse control thing until it literally just happened just then. But I can tell you, yep, that purple effect does mean reverse controls. Which, if you're familiar with it, like, most people hate reverse control, so, you know, definitely something to look out for, and definitely something to be aware of. You want to not get caught off guard by the reverse controls. But even still, it's not so bad. As long as you have high health, but if you have low health, like a lower amount of oxygen, I can imagine that being quite a deadly encounter. So if you're earlier on in the game, it might be worth avoiding that thing, just because of how dangerous it actually is. But again, if you can dodge all hits, it doesn't really matter how dangerous it is, because you'll just take it out. Now, I swear there's an eel up here, so I'm going to be looking for that next. Yeah, there is. So there's actually 3 eels. This one I'm going to have to kill by hand. I could use a net to immobilize it, but I don't want to waste my nets at the moment. And also it is a relatively weak thing to my harpoon. Even though I passed by a lot of ammo, I don't want to pick it up because if I need it later, I want to have it later. Like, for example, that I can come back to it when I know what's what. Next I want to see this bony wreckfish here. Okay, the bony wreckfish. Can't actually harpoon it, I don't think. I want to see if I can get a face shot on it, but yeah, no, this is completely immune to anything I want to try. It's immune to the knife. It's immune to... yeah, it's immune to the knife for sure. Yeah, so it's immune to the knife, immune to the harpoon, immune to bullets. It can only be caught by the net. So, the thing about this is, as much money as that is, it's not as much the eels or the sturgeon, so you can't really be affording to bag that up. Those things are pretty low on price. These things are alright. I wouldn't say they're great, but they're also not the worst, so I'll take them. Your shattered wreckfish, though, are non-armoured, so you can bully these like that. And get them eat like this. Now, these more expensive fish, their meat does weigh quite a bit, but at the same time, it's not so much a hassle. I'm pretty sure that's is that a shattered or a bony one? I can't really tell from here. It looks so similar from far away. I suppose the bony one, you know it when you see it, but like they always confuse me because, yeah. But the bony one is much more up-armoured. If you can hear me spamming my spacebar there, I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, I know there is accessibility options to turn it off, but I prefer not to use them myself. There was actually a big argument in the forums back in the day about accessibility options and the whole mash and spacebar thing. It was kind of ridiculous. I mean, I don't suffer any problems that means I can't mash the keyboard, but I can understand where people are coming from if they did. Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth on that one. That was, actually, there's mainly one guy that was against it, but we'll ignore that. We'll ignore that. Point being is, for the longest time, the developers never said anything about it, so it was reasonable to assume they didn't want to do anything about it, but in the end they did do something about it. So it's a very interesting one. So, for example, I thought that, yeah, because they weren't saying anything about it, that they had no interest in doing it, but they didn't want to really say that to the community. But in the end, they actually did want to do something about it. And they had said something in their Discord, but they hadn't really said anything about it publicly in the Steam forums. So a lot of people just didn't know that they were working on something. I think there's actually quite a lot of shattered wreckfish, so although it's pretty boring, you can go around killing them like this. I'm pretty certain there is no way to check the value of your fish in the inventory. So there is that. I'm hoping I'm making the right choices here. I think I've got all the wreckfish, and I'm pretty near capacity anyway, so I'm just going to fill up on some of these stonefish before I turn into the surface. I should also ditch the sea urchins if applicable, but at the same time, you're getting the gist of what I'm saying here. Like, you know, there's higher value targets I went for. That is doing the free crabs in the lower depths, getting the ray, sending up 2 eels and a sturgeon in drones, getting the last eel, and killing the wreckfish and that eel manually with the harpoon. Now, if that wreckfish up there that I killed last, if I could have got that in the net with the sturgeon, I would have, but it was definitely a difficult task. So you can't just kite them together, and you can't kite them away together, because they're both trying to do different things, get away from you and come towards you. So you have to get them at considerable overlap. And on top of that, the sturgeon decided, like, well, it has the ability to go invisible when sneaking up on you, so it will use that to do that. It'll do that most of the time. It will always try to be invisible and try getting a drop on you, because that's just how it is. Now, I'm looking for more fish, but it's not being easy to find them. As you can see, I'm only 10 kilograms over my limit, but I want to check something quick. How many purple sea urchins do I have? I have 2 of them, so if I actually discard that one and that one, I'm now just 0.5 kilograms under my maximum limit. I can catch another one of these. Now I'm definitely at my limit. Because the gap between your max carry weight and your absolute maximum gets smaller and smaller the more carry weight you have, which I find interesting. Which does make sense, like you're already lugging around a heavy box at that point, so... as you can see, I got the translucent sturgeon. I got quite a lot of that stuff. Got quite a few of them. Got quite a lot of that. So... I'm going to travel to the restaurant. And make sure what I got was actually the correct order, but who knows? I could have probably done a bit more efficiently if I ditched some of the lower weight, well, some of the lower priced fish. I'm going to sort by obtain because I can. Although that doesn't tell a good picture. Let's see, so... the Cortex Decorator... the enthralled stonefish was the enthralled stonefish. Yeah, the enthralled stonefish was worth more than that, but those were worth more than those things, which is why I did catch as many of them as possible. That's worth like the least, so that wasn't worth it. But those, yeah, were worth more than that. So I think I did pretty well at getting the fish in the correct order. Now, when you're serving the hooded figures, you only want to serve the translucent sturgeon. I mean. Well, and put on any old dish that is high price here. Like, I don't like using these ones because, well, they take rare ingredients, so I'm not too fussed about actually putting them on. So I normally put on the soy sauce marinated crab. Now let's see how much money I actually get from the aberrated side of things and the actual general sushi. As I said, if you're late in the game, you're probably just better off skipping out this event entirely and just putting on like soy sauce marinated crab or something. Oh, it's good right now because both two of these hooded figures are actually sat near the bar. So that means they get their order faster and they eat faster. So you have time to put in another order. See? Managed to sneak one in right at the end. Like, they got two prime position seats there, which is great, because if they're sat down for a long while, that's like the best seats to have. And let's see, so this is an important part of the night where they're buying the remaining stuff. Now, as you can see, that shattered wreckfish, the remaining translucent sturgeon, the sprouting eels, and these Cortex decorators, well, it's mainly the sprouting eels and wreckfish. As you can see, like, the Cortex decorators and the withered ray did make a significant contribution, as well as, like, the stonefish. But there I had to capture a lot, so, you know, not so much. Interestingly, that sold like for more on the actual sushi plate. This seems to have sold for more on the actual buying of the fish. So, like, significantly more. So perhaps it's not so straightforward as to which fish are selling for what to this person here, than just a direct translation from the menu prices. So see here, I'd be expecting a lot more from my Cortex decorators if that was the case. So take it with a grain of salt when I say what's what here, but I mean, I definitely feel like the sprouting eels are the way to go. Definitely want to be serving that, so that's just a non-question, but looking at some of the rest of this stuff, it's kind of hard to say. But assuming that the things are proportional to their menu price, I got 19 grand here. Let's see how much the restaurant actually made. Keep in mind, this is with two hooded figures sat near the bar. So, you know, you might not get it that high with the hooded figures sat away from the bar. But as you can see, I only got like 41k plus a 19k, so we'll call that 60k, right? So I only got 60k. Whereas on a normal night, I can make like 80k, like, say for example, that's a party night, so that's not a good example. But on a normal night, I can make 80k. So, this event actually takes away from money in the late game, but in the early game, the fact that you have like these instantly maxed out dishes that sell for like 1,000, like this translucent sturgeon here, the fact that you can sell for that much just by selling that. And you know, if you just get the translucent sturgeon but you don't have enough of it because you have to kill it with like the harpoon gun to finish it off, just kill some of like you don't have the net gun to send it up to the surface for the drones. Just kill one of them and kill some of the sprouting eels and serve some sprouting eel alongside it or after it. And at that point, you know, you're still good. Like you're still gonna be making like 1,000 off the sprouting eel at that point. So you know, in the early game, these gonna be good fish. Like especially considering like over half the sales, I reckon, were from the actual this thing. So I started like some soy sauce marinated crab left, and you know I put 18 out. So they obviously had like over 20 portions of this. So you know if they're having like over 20 portions, 20 of that, like 20 times that, that's a significant number. That's like at least 24k. So early in the game, you're going to make a big bank with this. But late in the game, not so much. Yeah, it's 22. It says here, I sold for 22. I got 27k for selling 22 of these. So, you know, early game, easy money. Late game, it's actually more worthwhile to not do this event and just do the dredge equipment and leave early. So you still keep your whole night. But yeah, nah, that's about it for this video, to be honest. And I hope you all have a good day.